All right, Big Mag, today is Thursday. It is November 17th. Welcome to the Dog Walk presented by Barstool Sports. It's myself, it's White Sox Dave, it's Chief. We're about to head to Northern Illinois for the college football show, but we're about to chop it up for you guys before we head out. White Sox Dave, how are you? I haven't seen you in like weeks, I feel.
I'm excellent, Ed. How are you doing?
You don't seem like you're excellent. You seem distracted, as a matter of fact.
I'm just pulling up notes and whatnot on the documentary
Oh, wow, look at this guy.
we're about to review.
Taking notes. I mean, we're doing a lot of things. We did watch a doc. We don't necessarily have to get into that completely. I have a couple other things I want to talk to you about besides the fact.
Okay, I'm listening.
I feel like my chair is too far back.
I feel a
I
little
can barely
awkward
see
as well.
you. I feel like we're out of.
I'm probably a little too far back. I don't know.
I think we're out of sorts.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah,
Keep going.
All right, how about this? We'll talk about this before we get things rocking. We'll get it into gear with our friends at Game Time. All right, the exclusive ticketing partner of Barstool Sports, created by fans for fans. Game Time is the ticketing app that makes it easier than ever to score last-minute deals on tickets to sports, concerts, and shows, and they guarantee the lowest price. If you haven't given Game Time a shot yet, we don't know what you're waiting for. You guys are going to love this app. We've had tons of Barstool fans using it, hitting us up on social about the great deals that they're getting. What's great about Game Time is we all have the app now. We don't know if we're going to the Northern Miami, Ohio game tonight, but we all have the Game Time app, so it's as easy as 1, 2, 3.
Right.
We can get it, no problem.
Yes, now that we know we have that app, I have no sweat, no worries. Tap of a button, we will be in that stadium at the blink of an eye.
Yep. And happy birthday to my dad. I'm taking him to the Notre Dame game on Saturday with Game Time. Notre Dame, Boston College. So
Beautiful.
Yeah.
See, now we revealed it.
yeah. So because today I would have told him when we talked about it before. I didn't want him to listen and ruin the surprise. But now, since this is in the future, his birthday is on Wednesday, we're going to be good.
Good
So-
stuff. You too can enjoy a game, concert, show, whatever. Just download the Game Time app, go to the account tab, create a login, redeem code DOGWALK for $200 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Download Game Time, last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So a couple things before we really talk, and also like the doc is completely something that is not needed to watch to enjoy this conversation.
But it was very enjoyable.
It was very enjoyable. We
Yeah.
watched The Orange Years. It's on Hulu. It came out in 2018, so it's not topical at all, but it also is nostalgic as fuck for people who grew up in the 90s and enjoyed Nickelodeon. That's what it's about. It's about the rise, and I don't want to say fall of Nickelodeon, the rise and change of Nickelodeon, we'll say.
The evolution.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
a good way to say it.
I mean, they kind of made it seem like a fall a little bit at the end.
Nah, not really though.
The corporate bastardization.
It was
of
like
Nickelodeon.
everything else in this country now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to their credit, when I was watching it, I tried to put myself in their shoes, and I wouldn't have done what they did in a million years, which is basically say, hey, we used to be like the underdog, the mom and pop shop of TV for kids. And then it became such a massive sensation around probably the world, at least in the States and North America. And they just walked away because they didn't want that. And I wouldn't have done that. I would have sold out for all the billions of dollars that, they
Well,
left
that's what
on.
they did.
They did.
No, Nickelodeon did, but a lot of the people didn't.
Yeah. I mean, the focus was on really the original CEO.
Yes.
Which is this woman,
Jerry.
Laybourne.
Yes.
Geraldine Laybourne. And, she's a former teacher, and she was always about putting the kids first. And then almost kind of like how, at least we try to think about this job, is content first, audience first, and then worry about the money afterwards. Yeah. And they really did that and obviously hit it out of the park. And they went through all their great shows. And, and then they talked about how over the years, Jerry, someone would say, hey, we'll give you $1 million so we can make a Nickelodeon cereal. Just
Nope.
like, fuck that.
Fuck that. Yep.
Trying to make a double dare cereal and for $1 million.
Yeah.
I didn't understand what they were describing as
Young
you could
Eddie
open it.
would have been all over Double Dare cereal.
We all would have been.
Yeah.
Marianne wouldn't have allowed that. I would have still been having fucking, I don't know,
But
total Raisin Bran.
Yeah. What's the cornflakes?
Cornflakes are probably, I don't remember ever having them.
Cornflakes
Special
are
K.
not better for you.
Great
than-
cornflakes. Cornflakes are the one with like the fucking
It's
Yeah,
still
it's
just
like
like
people on the
straight
front.
carbs and preservatives and shit.
Yeah, but that
don't
was
think
better.
so.
I think that was considered better than having like Frosted
Yeah,
Flakes.
Of course. But it's still not good for you.
Correct.
That's what I'm saying.
But in 1993 standards, it was considered.
Yeah, boys.
Oh,
I think
definitely,
the
yes.
cornflakes is that, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cornflakes
I
is
feel
pretty
like we
fucking-
had Special K in the house. We had
The drug?
I don't even know what Special K the drug is.
Come on,
drug.
dude. What a
You
pussy.
never did? Yeah. What a fucking...
Yeah,
is
what
he
a
a
I
nurse?
don't-
square.
I was a square. I was a square. Fucking White Sox Dave going down to whatever
You act like
beach
me
that
and White
was.
Sox Dave were doing Special K.
Sounds like it.
I wasn't. I know what it is.
Is that like the synthetic weed?
No, that's salvia.
Truthfully, I don't know what it is.
I
but
don't know
just
what it
the-
is
I
either.
just know the name.
It's
the
a
street
drug. Yeah. I
Um,
want to say
Sorry,
it's
boys.
ecstasy.
But sorry, before we get off the rails, yes, they had the opportunity to do all
Yeah.
these like money making fucking things, but they're like, no,
Yeah.
we just want to make content for kids that they'll like fucking love,
Yeah.
and like
and the
can
mo-
really relate to.
And the money will follow, and we're not worried about it. And then in the last part of the documentary, they're like, yeah, we did $1 billion in Dora the Explorer merch, and like name a Nickelodeon show now. Like,
Well, it's become like all that fucking like iCarly bullshit.
Right. We
Like-
grew out of it, obviously.
Yeah.
but
the
I
last-
still knew what like Blue's Clues was,
Oh,
and I knew what
definitely.
Dora was. Like,
Blue's Clues, like I hit Blue's Clues.
I never
were
watched
you were
yeah.
like because my brother did it, but
That's why I
yeah.
kind of watched it, but I grew on to like Snick and that stuff more because there was
Yeah.
a 5-year age gap. But two things of note on this documentary. One, I will put a go and watch, not a must watch, like descriptor on it. Just go watch it. Just
But
go watch it
here's-
because it was really fucking great. And it, like at the end, I was like, holy shit! Like I don't want to say like I wasn't close to crying or anything, but I had that like great feeling because especially in 2022, I just assumed we were going to learn about the bad shit. And that there was nothing. These people truly loved each other, like from the cast of the small shows to the president of the entire network and all that. And
Listen,
there was nothing going on behind the scenes where it was like bad.
Here's my takeaway on the Nickelodeon The Orange Years documentary, okay? And a little different than what you guys are saying, I guess. It warmed my heart to see all
Yeah, it
these
was
people
heartwarming,
and
for sure.
to know that the people that it seemed like, of course, a doc could
Yeah.
shine anybody up nicely, but it genuinely seemed like the people who made the shows that I loved and grew up on were nice people and it
Right,
came
they
from
were-
a good place.
Yeah.
At the same time, there was not much substance behind the doc at all. Like, it was pretty much just like, hey, remember this show? Like, and it's like, yeah, then we did this, then we did this. Then
Oh, see, I don't even agree with that.
I don't
Really?
agree with that at
No,
all.
Really?
I like where it's like, hey, like they got into look, they had so many shows to cover in about a 2-hour long doc, but I thought it was cool how they like said like here was the idea or the ideation behind Doug, and it was like, hey, like we're like and
Yes.
they got into like that.
How they got Patty Mayonnaise voice.
yeah, like that was. I thought those were like there was a lot of little cool nuggets.
There was cool nuggets on some of them, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But then at some point, like it's like, all right, we're just gonna run down every show. That's
Yeah.
how I felt.
But wouldn't you, if
Like
they
the-
did that doc and didn't hit on Doug and Rugrats, wouldn't you have been like, hey,
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Because I sat there and I was like, oh wow, are they not gonna touch on Are You Afraid of the Dark and all that?
Right.
And they went to the end and
Yeah.
then I got to them.
Right.
Yeah, they went in
And,
chronological.
You're right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
And but to me, it's like, all right. What was really interesting to me was that show. You can't put this on television because I didn't. That was before
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
my time.
me too.
And I didn't know how instrumental that was to the
Me-
network and how
right.
that started everything.
Yeah, and it was like one of those things where, because I am obviously the oldest, as Dave always likes to say, most mature too,
mean,
the
you are.
wisest. And, but it was one of those, it was like, do I have a memory of that show, or is like this documentary tricking me into
Yeah.
remembering it?
Well, what's funny is we did the Nickelodeon draft fucking years ago. at
It
this
was like
point.
one of our first probably
Yeah.
5
It's
drafts.
crazy, 2020, and like it's almost 2023, so we could
Yeah.
legit say years ago, which is fucked up, boys.
is fucked up.
That's fucked up. Like,
And I think that draft took about like 22 minutes. Yeah.
So we're talking legit like 150 drafts go years ago, and you took Hey Dude, I believe.
Yeah, I did.
And like I didn't know what the fuck that was.
Yeah, that was
remember
it
Hey
was
Dude,
like
yeah.
one of the first picks where
Yeah.
I got
Yeah,
roasted
so
on, but it
looking
turns out
back-
it's just a fucking great. Chief was right again. Hashtag Chief was
I mean,
right.
No, I would not. Like
Yeah.
looking back, I was like, all right, I would.
There
not.
was a ton I don't remember about the shows that popped up.
Which one piqued your interest the most? Actually, like I'd like to go back and check this out a little bit.
I don't know if it piqued my interest the most from that standpoint, but I thought they did a really good job explaining it all for Clarissa Explains It All.
I
thought
didn't
that
realize
was-
what
all right,
good
all
of
right.
an actress she was.
Yeah.
When she was looking at the camera, you're like, holy shit, this girl's like 7, 8, 9 years old, whatever she was. 12, I think, maybe. I don't know, whatever. And I'm watching her act, but it's like, it's a side camera. It's not the actual TV show. And you're like, holy shit, she's going to be a superstar one day. And she obviously did turn into, not superstar, but she was very famous after Nick. But it did Saturday Night Live cast members and shit, you know?
Yeah, I guess I shouldn't say it lacks substance. That was wrong of me. I guess I should say the format. Like,
Yeah.
I was waiting for them to deviate from that format, and it just never broke stride from that format. Like, I thought that they were going to, like, spin off and do something else and go, like, all right, now let's talk about this chapter. And, like, you know, but it was like a straight
bang,
plow
bang,
through,
bang,
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 bang.
bang.
This
Yeah.
show, this show, this show.
Yeah.
Which, like, it was good for a nostalgia watch. But as far as like a true like breakdown of like,
that's fair,
So,
I guess.
that's what I'm saying.
Dave was saying he wouldn't quite throw the must-watch label on it, right? Is that accurate?
Yeah, not must watch, but if I just turned 34 a few weeks ago. If you're around my age, just go watch it. It's 2 hours long.
To
Easy
me,
watch for sure.
Easy watch. Yeah.
Easy watch.
And you'll enjoy it. It's really, really good.
I feel like I watched it at the absolute like perfect time. There was not a lot of sports on. I watched it on a
Yeah.
Tuesday
Yep.
night. Snow's out. Like you don't want to do anything. You're just on the couch with a dog, and it just like it's like you know how you like can hurt like get a belly or like hurt your belly from laughing so hard. It was like my cheeks were a little like because I was just smiling.
That's exactly what I was doing. I told a friend of mine. I was in the middle of a group chat with them, and I'm like, I'm watching this. It's actually my high school group chat, but I'm like, I'm watching this documentary right now, and I'm grinning ear to ear just watching like old Rugrats highlights and stuff, and how Rugrats came to be, and all the cartoons we watched. And to Chief's point, one thing that really stuck out to me, and my entire life, I have never been told you can't watch a TV show other than one TV show.
Ren and Stimpy?
Ren and Stimpy. And it wasn't even you can't watch it. It's like, do
See,
we
like,
want to
I
watch
wish
this?
they got into that more. They kind of glossed over that.
So it's like
They kind of glossed over
Over
that.
Ren and Stimpy?
Yeah. Like they like glossed, they
Yeah.
like slightly touched on like, well, yeah, they just like didn't micromanage. They didn't
That's
tell people
exactly
what to
it.
do.
To Chief's point
kinda
about Barstool.
They kind of did Doug, Ren and Stimpy, and Rugrats all in like one segment because they all kind of
Yeah.
they were same time frame.
and they were all animated.
Right.
I even back then, you weren't allowed to watch it. I remember being like, this show is going to give me a fucking seizure. Like I wanted nothing to do with Ren and Stimpy, even in real time. I love Doug and I liked Rugrats, but when that show would come on, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck. I can't watch this.
I feel like Ren and Stimpy's would be like right up your alley too.
Dave, for sure. Yeah.
I watched it still. It wasn't that I wasn't allowed to watch it. It was that it was like we should probably not let them watch it, but we'll let them watch it anyways because we don't give a shit. But
It's just
like
our firstborn
it's like,
son.
hey, I forget the name of the boss at that level. So one of the bosses where she had like, I don't know, a bunch of different writers under her. Most people were coming from different backgrounds where most writers on Nickelodeon were coming from different backgrounds where you had to get approved for an idea. And this one at Nickelodeon, it's like, no, we hired you so you come up with the ideas. So not that you run them by us because that'll just, it'll confuse you. Go be you. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what it is at Barstool. You're hired and said, go spread your wings and fly, you know? And that's what they did at Nickelodeon. And it works. It works.
Yeah. And I do have to say the one guy who really stuck out too. Like I don't know how to describe this guy other than this, and it's a weird way to describe someone. But the guy who made Doug was just kind of an adorable guy.
Oh yeah,
Just like an old.
he was a real life Doug.
Yes,
like, you
yes.
know, it's like
Just
he wears-
soft-spoken.
wearing
Yeah.
sweater vests.
Just
And,
an adorable guy.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
really was.
Yeah,
Like, I
he
was
was-
just like, I want to meet that guy.
Yeah.
Like he was just.
the whole, like this is kind of in my head. This is like an Eddie saying, but it's like that's nice. Like that's how I felt about the whole document. Hey, that's nice. And and starting with like, hey, dude, because that was like the first one that I remember, and it was Ben Stiller's wife.
The hot.
I've always
She's
I've had a crush on her since I
insanely
was
hot.
6 years old.
Yes.
So, but yeah, it was just like that documentary, and the only one where it was like, as you're saying, there was no like issues. You guys might have to correct me on this. Did Mike O'Malley have some kind of controversy?
No. No.
Okay.
No, I wish they went into that too.
Me too.
No, he's been on a couple.
They didn't
things,
talk about the
actually.
egg or Craig or anything.
Yes,
too
they
much.
didn't. They didn't talk about they had a what's it called, a time capsule. They did a time capsule that they're supposed to open in like 2050 when they broke ground at the Nickelodeon studio, and which is actually kind of depressing. I know I've talked about this before on this show, but I watch a lot of abandoned shit. And that studio in Nickelodeon Studio is
At
just
Universal?
Yeah,
Just
Universal.
sitting there?
It's just abandoned now. Yeah.
Can we go in? Is Yago Craig still there?
I don't know what's there and what's not. I've seen like a couple videos and like you could vaguely see like the old logo and stuff. So a present day, I don't know what's there, but I've seen videos from like 5-6 years ago. And
I'm surprised because every single like popular thing from the 90s has gotten a reboot.
That's what's surprising. You're right. Is how bad they fucked this up.
Yeah.
Because you look at how the Simpsons still rocking, and like SpongeBob still rocking. Some of these shows had staying power, and especially how game shows like
Yeah.
Family Feud's still going. Like those game shows could still be going.
I would love like an adult decathlon.
Oh, fuck yeah.
So you have like,
Fuck yeah.
maybe like the first round is Legends of the Hidden Temple. So you have like a lot of teams.
Well, they were supposed to reboot that. I don't know whatever happened.
I don't know, but like I would love to have it be like, all right, like round 1 is Legends of the Hidden Temple. If your team wins, you're going on to Family Double Dare. If your team wins
Yeah.
That's a
that,
good idea.
you know, you just keep like, it's almost like Survivor.
That's a good
But
idea.
yeah, that would be sensational. Who wouldn't watch that?
Yeah.
I don't want to say this out loud because I don't want it to get back to him after 12 or 14 years or whatever, but we came home drunk as shit one night in college, and this is literally 4 or 5 in the morning. It was wee hours of the morning, and we throw on the TV, and it's just me and him. And I told him I was an orange iguana on Legends of the Hidden Temples, and he believed me, and I never told him. I didn't expect him to believe me, but he believed me so quickly that I couldn't tell him, hey, man, it's just a joke. And to this day, like, I'll talk to him a couple times a year still, and he'll be like, dude, that's still one of my favorite things about you. Like, I'm like, yeah, man, it was awesome. It was sick. And I'm pretty sure this podcast will probably ruin it, but
it's been a good run.
It's been a good run.
15
It was a
years.
good run.
That group Halloween costume always plays.
oh,
too.
always, 100% of the time.
Yeah, or any of the teams.
Any of them, yeah.
They do. Hey, this episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Unfortunately, life doesn't come with a user manual. So when it's not working for you, it's normal to feel stuck. Navigating any of life's challenges can make you feel unsure, whether it's a career change, a new relationship, or becoming a parent. Therapists are trained to help you figure out the cause of challenging emotions and learn productive coping skills, which makes therapy the closest thing to a guided tour of the complex engine called you. Many benefits of therapy. We're talking about nostalgia today. And, unfortunately, sometimes life is just not as good as the old days, right? And
That's
talking to someone.
damnedest truth, Ed.
Yeah, it's just true. And, sometimes talking to someone is the best option, and it's a great option with BetterHelp. So there's many benefits to talking with someone and using therapy, so make sure you're checking out BetterHelp. As the world's largest therapy service, BetterHelp has matched 3 million people with professionally licensed and vetted therapists, available 100% online. Plus, it's affordable. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to match with a therapist. If things aren't clicking, you can easily switch to a new therapist anytime. It couldn't be simpler. No waiting rooms, no traffic, no endless searching for the right therapist. Learn more and save 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/walk. That's betterhelp.com/walk.
I got a little therapy fun fact for you.
What's that?
If you have a memory that is older than 18 months old, and when you think of it or it's brought up, you still have an emotional reaction, and it doesn't really matter what the emotional reaction is, then you're not over it. And then that's an indication that you should probably get therapy to deal with it. Yeah. So if you're thinking of something like, hey, like this happened to me when I was 14, and it's like, and it just kind of like eats at you, then, or makes you angry, makes you sad, and it's like you haven't properly dealt with that memory, as opposed to being like, yeah, this happened, it was fucked up, but now I'm over it. But if you have a genuine emotional reaction for anything in your life that has happened that's older than 18 months, then that's a good indication that you probably need therapy.
That's That's a very interesting fact.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah. Wow. Well,
So
there you go.
There you go. So think about your life and then maybe call BetterHelp.
Yeah, betterhelp.com/walk. But yeah, it's definitely worth your time, if you got 2 hours to kill and you were a Nickelodeon skit.
It's a perfect Tuesday night in the winter. Nothing to do, no one to talk to, documentary to watch.
Yeah.
And you will thoroughly enjoy it. Like you said, I was grinning ear to ear the entire time.
Yeah.
It was truly a feel-good story.
If you could be on one of the game shows, what would it be?
It would the fucking guts.
Guts?
Yeah, guts. 100%. And I would have dominated because I was,
You
the
probably
taller.
would have.
I would have absolutely dominated.
Like, how are we having this guy who has a
Who has
full
a mustache?
beard? Yeah.
Sideburns and a mustache
It's tough
and
not to say
goatee.
Legends of the Hidden Temple. Double
Yeah.
Dare is pretty good too.
Double Dare was great.
The one part I would.
I like Figure It Out too.
So
They didn't
on
show
Double
it at all.
Dare,
Figure It Out was good.
They were doing because I was actually wondering that just because I mean obviously it's been decades since you've watched these shows, but you're watching the replays on this documentary and you're like, man, how did fucking kids not get actually hurt in some of this? And Mark Summers talks about it a little bit. There was one kid they were filming. Obviously, it's on tape delay and everything. He was crawling through something and he flipped over and it looked like he snapped his neck, but he just popped up and he was
Yeah, I
completely
wish they
fine.
showed it.
I wish
Yeah.
they would have showed it. Right. They showed a cartoon animation of it. And everybody, the kid was fine, but Mark Summers was trying to not play it off during the recording that, holy shit, this kid might be seriously hurt. So he would do his game show pitch and everything. And then he'd be like, hey kid, you're all right. You're all right. You're all right. And then the kid's dad came backstage afterwards. He's like, that big screen right there, if you load that up and get that to my house or whatever, I won't sue you. And they're like, done. Anything else you want? I did think that Mark Summers came off as a diva though.
Did you?
Making orders
with what, dude? He ripped out the microphone thing. So if people you haven't watched it, it was 1,000% reality. They were giving tours at Universal Studios through the Nickelodeon studios, and they were showing their dressing rooms and getting makeup. And at one point, he ripped out the microphones and
because he didn't. He didn't
he
want.
was tired of it.
Yeah.
Pretty invasive, I would say.
But we had him on our serious show. And he
I know,
was awesome.
right? He was
Yeah.
great, right?
Yeah, so I don't know.
I thought he was largely good on that too.
Yeah.
And
And he-
gave some good insight.
Quote of the fucking show at the end there. He said he came home one day and his 11-year-old was
Yeah.
like, well, hey, Dad, why do you spend all your time with other people's kids and not us? And he said,
He's like, quit
I
the next
quit.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
quit the next day.
Yeah.
Whoa, holy shit. But no, he was good though, I thought.
They
Yeah.
talked about Pete and Pete.
That's the one that intrigued me the most, kind of.
By far and away, people make fun of me for saying that too much, and I'm going to stop saying that now that I'm cognitive about
fuck it. Talk the way you talk.
there's
Pete
always
and
room
Pete
for
was one of my favorite shows growing up, but I don't remember it too much because it's been so long since
Yeah.
I've watched it. And they talk about how it was so ahead of its time. People just thought it was a show about two brothers named Pete. But it was looking back, the evolution of Big Pete and his relationship with that one chick. What was her name? I forget the name of it in the show, the girlfriend of his.
Yeah.
And they're like, it was a genius show. I want to go back and watch it just to see the
I do
evolution
too.
of the characters.
I was so in until they showed that dude in the tights, and I was like, it kind of seems like it's going to be cheesy now.
Yeah.
I'm sure it would
Yeah.
be.
But that's it kind of has themes to, I don't know if you saw Licorice Pizza. It was an Oscar nominee last year.
No.
It's a coming of age film, and it's two people who are caught in the middle. One person kind of wants their life to slow down, and they want to grow up. One person that wants to stay young. It's a weird balance, which is a weird time in life, when
Totally.
you're I want to be a kid still, and one person's I don't want to be a kid anymore. I want to fucking be a grown up. So I don't know.
Don't get older. Don't get older.
I don't agree with that.
Oh, there's an interesting conversation.
Yeah. Well, and it's I think that's a problem in society is that people
Really?
just have this extended adolescence
The
and
Peter Pan syndrome?
Yeah,
Yeah.
nobody grows up. I know a lot of people who are just
No, I don't mean it
I know you don't
sincerely, but
Right.
those were the good times. And one thing that so we're all, give or take the same age. And
Thank you.
My kid or my parents would throw all of us in front of the TV during it because it would just shut us up. you know? And there was a part where all the producers and execs were talking about, they're like, we know exactly who's watching TV when. And so they, you know, they gave birth to, I'm fucking up all the names right now. Like the preschool version of Nick.
Yeah.
What's it called again? And then Saturday Night
like
Nick, which is more for teenagers.
They had like the face thing, which was Blues.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And in 2022, like I got twin cousins right now that are now they're like 9 or 10, but my aunt and uncle would just throw them an iPad and be like, hey, you know, shut up, go play with this. And I'd be like, man, I didn't get that when I was a kid because it wasn't available to us. But that Nickelodeon was our version of shutting the kids up with the iPad.
Yeah.
You know, or the phone or the computer or video games or whatever. And
what do you think is the big problem with people not wanting to like get into your thought here about the Peter Pan syndrome?
Well, I think it's a real problem. And there's like all sorts of data to back this up too, where and I don't know if this is good or bad necessarily, but kids aren't like, you have less kids than ever who like actively want to get their driver's license. I remember like, yeah, exactly. Like kids, like they just don't want it, and they think it's there's multiple but contributing factors where you have, you know, like you were from a family of 6, right?
8 total, 6 kids.
A lot, a fucking mess of them. 4 in my family, which is a lot. You're from 3, and now they're saying that people are having children later and they're having fewer of them. So the kids are just like, there's more resources for those kids where like, Dave, you're the fastest eater I've ever seen. And it's because you had all these kids
had to fend for myself.
Fight for food.
Survival of the fittest.
But like kids don't even like want to get out of the house. Like the parents make the house too comfortable.
Pandemic? Have anything to do with that?
The trend started before that. So the pandemic skyrocketed
accelerated
but it was happening before that. Less kids have sex in high school now. Less men are having sex than they did. Like guys in their 20s are having less sex than any other time in history.
Where are you getting this from?
I watch all sorts of different shit.
Okay.
Like legitimate like psychological podcasts and studies and things like that.
Wait, so less kids are having, and then less men in general?
Less men in general, or a few. Like it now. It's almost like kind of like everything else, where it's like fewer men are having more sex. Like there's a smaller, like there's the 1% of men are having more sex than ever, and they think that that's also why like women are always like, well, men are trash. Well, it's like, well, you're all fucking the same guy. Okay, so he's got options, and like that's part of why Dave's like, oh yeah.
I'm not saying that's me.
Yeah, no, I know. But there's like that is theoretical. That's like a theory that's out there. Kids are drinking in high school less. Like they're less likely to be social. And they're saying like so much of their social interactions are actually just happening online and on your phone, that they're less inclined to go out and like do things and have fun like in person.
That's what I mean. Don't grow up. Like go out and get in trouble, like the Sandlot quote.
Yeah, but now that it's like they
don't need to as much because everything's right in front of them.
Right. Yeah. Everything. But it's like you would go out and like we always talk about starting fires in the woods, like, which is a good time. But like now they're just like,
I wish I could do that now.
And they say that that's like another reason why like girls in particular, young girls in particular, are having such issues is because, you know, like men and women or boys and girls always have like levels of violence, okay, and discourse and bullying. Well, if you were having a hard time as a 6th grade girl at school, body image, getting teased, all these things, character assassination by these girls, well, you would get on the bus and go home and be able to relax for 8 hours, okay?
You still see it on the internet.
You can't escape it. You can't escape it. It's Snapchat. It's all these other fucking things. And you're just sucked in this vortex. And like those where for guys, it is more like you're going to tease you in person. Maybe we're going to have a fight about it. And, but it's less because in general, girls, the way that they do quote unquote violence or intimidation is through character assassination. social
Mean
media
Girls.
apps are, yes, Mean Girls, exactly, are way worse for girls than it is for young boys.
But now, haven't they been able to expand on their friendships and meet new people and kind of create a wider net of
Totally.
that kind of thing, though?
Yeah, but that can be good and bad too, and I think that is definitely a thing for what they would call like disaffected men, where you see these people who, like the 4chans and things like that, where it's like, hey, if you're at a school, and or like Antifa, okay? You guys know what Antifa is, obviously. So, and you could say like Antifa, the people on the extremes on either side, they're just like, but you're able to find like-minded people much more easily. Where it's like, if you were this disaffected person, you had a crazy idea about being far on the left or far on the right, and you're doing things for attention. Well, if you're from a town and you have, 200 people in your graduating class, statistically, if you're one of these people who are on the far edges, you're the only one in your school. So you might say something one time and everyone's like, fuck out of here, dude. But now you say it online and you get a positive feedback loop. And then that just incentivizes you to do more nasty things and say more nasty things, and then get further and further on the edges because, like there's nobody in my town, but there's a guy in Oregon and there's a guy 3 hours away. So it's like there is an element if you have a positive thing, like, hey, I'm really into film, or I'm really into, fucking classical piano or whatever it is, that it can be like, you can find those communities online and that can be a positive. But it also, it can be a double-edged sword where it's like the bad people have a much louder voice, and they find these other
But
like-minded
what's the
people.
percentages here, though? How many that dark side? How many people really are here? How many are we really?
Well, I think
the
that's
minority.
I think that's the point.
Right?
That's the point. So if it's 1 in 200 people or 1 in 400 people, something like that, the odds of you being able to organize and be able to have like these hyper negative, where it's like you say like kind of Kanye things and you would never find somebody to really reciprocate that level in your immediate surroundings, like when we were growing up, in theory. Now it's easy to do. So now it's like, well, that, fucking,
You can just type in whatever hashtag you want and find.
Right. You can find something to give you attention and reinforce your own beliefs, or worse than that, like push you even more extreme. So, there's good, like, I love the internet, obviously, but I don't think that I would want to grow up now
on the internet
how it is
For
now.
sure.
Yeah.
Not at all.
I didn't know all those stats.
Yeah.
What was the first one you said?
I don't know.
Well, I know you said kids are banging less, and you said
Less kids are like, there's like
Men
teen
are
pregnancies
banging
are way down, and just sexually active high schoolers, which, hand up, I was not a sexually active high schooler because I didn't grow until like way late. But it was, but it's just fewer and fewer people are like doing adult activity.
driver's license.
Driver's license, yeah. Yeah.
Now, is that just fucking? I wonder what that is.
People are far more risk averse. Like this generation is more risk averse because they have like the helicopter parents tell them their whole life everything's dangerous. They flip on the news, everything's bad. So they're like, well, I heard like this is a stat about, if you're driving that you're more likely to die doing this. So they just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And they want to be dependent. And that was the other thing where it's like, I heard somebody say this, where it's like, when we were growing up, if you got dropped off somewhere, let's say like when we were 10, 11, 12 years old, you were at a sleepover, that's it. Okay. Like you're away from your parents, like you're off doing things with your buddies, and you're dropped off at the mall, especially me, because I didn't have a cell phone until I got my driver's license.
That's how I was.
So you weren't able, but now kids are just constantly connected to their parents. So they always have like a parachute. It's like, hey, can you come get me? Hey, can you, and it's, so they're always like, they're just,
I mean, certainly there are ways to get a hold of them. You know, like,
Yeah.
But it
like
would
there
be
was,
like-
you know, hey, let me.
I remember.
You go to the hey Cinnabon, can I borrow your phone?
Oh, I never did that, but,
Well, but
I did the
I remember-
1-800 collect
Collect,
thing.
yeah.
Hey, Mom, I need a ride home. Come pick me up.
right. But that was at like you're at school, and there would be like a line, like, oh, like, hey, I missed the bus, or hey, like, where, like, practice is over. Where the fuck are you?
The fucking major pain commercials, 1-800-COLECT.
Yeah, but it was like, and then there's a chance that like you call your home line and they're just out driving somewhere.
Yeah,
You know,
oh,
so
for
it's like,
sure.
well, I guess I'm just fucking stuck here for a while. Thanks, Mom. And
Oh, you getting stuck was real.
oh yeah, and you
Getting
had to just
stuck was
kind of
real.
fend for yourself and figure it out. And now it's just like that's never like fending for yourself. That's just never a thing. Yeah. And like figuring things out through trial and error. Well, just fucking look it up on YouTube. You know, like instead of like learning how to problem solve and like going through things and again, like I love learning shit through YouTube and like how, like I had to fix my my dryer. I looked it up on YouTube and it was not that hard, you know? So it's a great resource,
Yeah.
but there is something to like, you know, I'm going to figure out how to build, like I built a hockey stick or a hockey net out of like 2x4s. You know, I didn't know how to fucking do that I remember I had a neighbor at our old neighborhood who had built this beautiful one. And I'm like, I think I can do that. So I like had my dad take me down to Home Depot and tried it. It was like this rickety bullshit thing with chicken wire, but I like tried my best and trial and error. And I think there's like, you know, some value in trying to do things on your own and figuring things out on your own.
You don't
that
have to
just
think for yourself
Don't
anymore.
exist anymore.
Right.
What's funny is you say the license thing, and you're like, oh, it's just people, helicopter parents, it's people who are risk averse, people who are afraid.
But it's coming from the children more than the parents.
Yeah, well, in my head, I think it's the scumbag friends who are like, I don't want to get my license because I don't want to be the fucking DD.
The drive guy?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
be the guy who's drinking. I don't want to have to
But they're
worry
not
about
drinking
driving.
either.
Yeah, I know.
It's
So
just-
like that's
yeah.
what's crazy in my fucking. You ever
You're
have
right.
that? The friend who fucking buys a 2-door car, or so he buys like the fucking pickup truck.
The
and
pickup
it's like,
truck,
Oh, I
yeah.
can't drive, man. I got the smallest car. It's like, you dickhead.
Right. Well, it was that, but like, so, but we actually I feel like, at least with the hockey team, we kind of had the opposite, whereas like, it was like such a privilege to be like, oh, hey, like Dave, I remember this kid, Dave is a year ahead of me. Dave got his license. There's like 4 kids on the team that have their license. And then if you could get a ride to the game or to practice from one of them instead of your like getting picked up and dropped off by your parents, it was way better.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
awesome. And so that was just like, and then it was like when you had a car, it was like your turn. Like you take the younger guys. And like, I don't know if that was a unique thing to
No, it wasn't. That's how it was for my high school.
Yeah. So that was like and now that's just not it's just not a thing. And then you know, and you be dickheads in the car and you're
Yeah,
racing
fucking
somebody else
around,
and
yeah.
doing like dangerous shit.
Fucking
Oh, dude, the
I
night I,
remember
got my
like
license.
racing down, like we would have,
bumping people.
I don't remember ever bumping people, but I remember we would have
Well, not like randoms.
Yeah.
You're bumping your buddy.
Yeah. But like we would have like we'd be going if we had a game. There was a rink down on in Glen Ellen off of 64 where the Flames used to play there, and Harry knows the rink I'm talking. Do you know what's the name?
Addison.
of it? No, I don't think it was Addison.
Edison, North
Bensonville?
End.
It wasn't
There
Bensonville.
was the DuPage.
I'm almost positive it was Glen Ellen, but you would take 64, which is the main road through St.
cuts through Glen
Charles.
Ellen, yeah.
Yeah, and then you would take, but it was like a 25-minute ride, and like inevitably, you would find yourself next to the other group on like a group of 4 guys in a car on their way, and it just became a race.
Yeah.
and you're like cutting people off, and
Yeah,
it was like
yeah.
looking back, it was like holy shit, like that was fucking
Dude.
that was so bad.
Yeah.
The way that it's so dangerous.
Interesting.
But it was awesome and it was fun. And so
Peter Pan syndrome. Man.
yeah,
It's fascinating.
it really is, and I feel like we're just like starting to learn about it a little bit because it's still a new phenomena.
Yeah.
And we'll see what like that next. But I also think that it bleeds into all these kids like on college campuses that are like, oh, you can't say that, you can't do that, I can't hear that. We need safe spaces. It's like it's all sort of linked as this like. I make this like
Basically, you're saying it's a generation of pussies.
I think there is.
Fucking watch some Nickelodeon, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Get
Yeah.
toughened up.
Yeah. And it's just like, It's just I think we're in. I'm very interested to see how things play out with this, because I do think that we've gone through this shift where there's that great Ricky Gervais quote too, where it's like, how entitled and arrogant are you that you think you get to go through your entire life without being offended by an idea? Because that's kind of what it is. That offends me, I'm shutting it down. And it's like, people say horrible shit to us all the time. You're just like, all right, like, what are you gonna do?
Keep it moving.
Just keep it moving. And we'll see. But it's just like, everyone just needs to have a little bit more, maybe respect for everybody, and then just, bow your neck a little bit and be a little tougher and try shit. Just try shit. Trying shit's fun.
Well, what do you guys think of the new Twitter takeover? Anything? Any comments?
Have we seen anything really change?
Yeah,
I think there's been like a couple of failed rollout.
The verification's weird.
Oh,
That one made me laugh.
Very
where it went
strange.
from blue check but blue check with an official. So it's like, it's official.
Yeah.
So it's like now,
some guy making a Steelers account saying Kenny Pickett died. That was like fucking like.
Yeah, like
there was the one that really got me was when they might have been Adam Silver. It was someone saying that Kyrie got released, and I saw the check mark, and immediately I'm like, holy shit, they mean business. And it was just
I'll tell you what, it's a perfect time to be fucking White Sox Dave of 2019 where you're getting duped a bunch. Like, you could have just been like, hey, it's not my fault anymore.
Everyone's
I'm
getting
just
duped.
fucking, it's a wild, wild west out here.
Yeah, I think everyone just needs to be a little bit patient with it too. Like, I think like people hate Elon, and he's certainly not a perfect person by any stretch, but the guy has not really ever failed at anything. I think, to judge, people are like judging him and saying like he's like the worst CEO ever and all this kind of stuff, but it's like, it's been 3 weeks. Like,
I think he severely regrets his purchase, though.
Well, he tried to get out of it,
Yeah.
but it's like, wow, it's fucking too late. But
one thing that annoys me is how people are like, oh, this guy's such an idiot. This guy's so stupid. I'm like, you might not like him at all, but that is the wrong adjective.
But there
to
are
place on
layers
him.
to intelligence, right?
I think he's as smart as he gets it.
He's a genius when it comes to fucking putting a fucking rocket into fucking space.
Right.
But to like, basic.
But he's done like, like social.
Social intelligence.
See, I think for CEO standards or someone that's like, I mean, he's on the level of Bill Gates and Bezos and shit.
And I'm not saying he's not.
He seems
one or
pretty
the other. I'm
normal,
just saying
all
there's
things
differences
considered.
of intelligence.
Oh, I don't know. I wouldn't say he seems socially normal. This is a guy who's got like
I'm
12
grading
kids from
I'm
8
grading
women
on the
named
that
fucking,
type of person scale.
like a math equation or something.
I think we'll find out more about him. But this is a guy who, he created an electric car, which hadn't really been done, right? Like no one had been able to really even attempt it. Takes unbelievable amount of willpower, intelligence, all capital investment. Then he fucking did it to the point where he created a marketplace. Now every single car company is making it and moving that way on the back of his idea and his work. And then he took that car and strapped it to a rocket and shot it into fucking outer space. Like, those are two things that are like mind-boggling that he like combined
in a
them
lifetime.
in like 10 years.
Yeah, in a decade. Not even a lifetime.
And he like combined them into like a joke.
Right.
So like I do think that like maybe, and it just feels like very politically motivated. And I'm not going to sit here and say he's a great guy. I actually don't think having 1 million kids by 6 different whatever the number is a good thing. I think that's actually bad. So I don't like he's clearly a flawed person like everybody else, but to be like he's an idiot, he's a failure, like shut, like let's give him a couple years. I mean,
even
Twitter's been around since what, 2007?
He even said it himself. He's like, when he bought it, how did he word it? He goes, there's a good chance we fail at making this what we want it to be. Like he knows that he's, he
said that about Tesla and SpaceX too, that he just thought it was a worthwhile endeavor. So, and it was like, he's like, when I started at Tesla, he's like, I assumed it was going to fail. Mm-hmm. But he's like, I thought it was a worthwhile endeavor anyways. And it must be nice to have so many billions of dollars that you're like, you know what? It's probably not going to work, but here's $44 billion. Right. So I was thinking about that the other day too, where it's like, you know, you always have these sports owners and stuff, right? And let's say like, you know, and like, or like your guy, Jerry, okay? Like Jerry Reinsdorf, where it's like, he's trying to make all this, you know, he's pinching every penny. He's trying to make a buck, all this and that. It's like, you know, honestly, what is the difference between $3 billion and $4 billion?
There is none.
Did I say that on this show?
I don't think so.
I've said that a billion times.
Yeah.
When you're that rich, how can you be any richer?
Because it's like, think of like how life changing $5 million would be for 99% of America. That like
more than that even.
Dude, I said that when it comes to like Disney's earning reports. Like if they make 1 year 33 billion, and then the next year they come in at 32.3 billion.
We have talked about this.
Like what? Like why?
Right.
Like, and it's all about the shareholders, and if you're sure that you're trending down or trending up, and
Right.
then the stock goes up, and that's, and I think that's like a big problem, right?
I think that is I think
like,
everything is, and it goes back to the movie The Big Short, where they kind of talk about the banking industry, where in like the 70s, it was like it wasn't like a big part of the economy. We've had this seismic shift where, and it's like fucking clear as day. All you have to do is flip on a TV during a game, and what are all the commercials? Big food, big pharma, fucking mutual, you know, like and finance. And so the entire economy has shifted from cars and manufacturing to, you know, making all this kind of stuff to we're just making numbers. We're just making numbers, and I think that's kind of and we're medicating people. I think that's kind of fucked up. So I think that's a real problem. So it's like, because who are you appeasing when you're talking about your earnings report? It's not your employees aren't feeling anything different. They're probably feeling worse because you're squeezing them down too. Like they're making less against inflation than they were. We talked about that. Like what the fuck happened in 1974, where it's like everything is more expensive and everything is worse from that date. And it's because all anybody is looking at really is a fucking Excel sheet.
yeah.
And if it's like, if you're on the wrong side of that, or you're not enough, you didn't grow from the year before, well, fuck it.
I've just always wondered that, like a minimal difference.
Yeah.
Like how, when we're talking that much money,
Yeah.
how does that matter? But
But
I think it's all the game when it comes to shareholders and just
because that's all it is.
Trending growth
Yeah.
is just all that matters.
And it's these fucking, you know, not these fucking, but like pension funds and like all these, it's so everything is built on the backs of Wall Street, as opposed to, you know, like we watched like The Irishman, you know, years ago when it came out, and it was how powerful Jimmy Hoffa was, because he ran the Teamsters union, and that was a big voting block, and it was a lot of money because it was he controlled the pension fund, and now it's like, it feels like unions aren't doing what they used to. Like they're not as powerful as they were, 80 years ago, and it's like, I wonder what happened where they don't have the same kind of pull and swing that they...
In what regards do you think they're not as powerful?
Because their members aren't seeing real wage increases.
The same.
Versus what they...
then?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that, which is...
To keep up
fundamentally
with the times,
their only job. And there's some of that is just like, maybe you just can't fight globalization. But some of that could also be like, well, the way you fight globalization is by having a strong union who makes the right donations and enacts the right policies from the politicians that they're influencing. And it feels like both parties now just kind of cater towards Wall Street, where on the left, you used to have like that party historically was built on the working man. And I think that's why you saw a lot of people shift to Trump last time, because he at least
spoke to them,
even if it was bullshit,
right.
But he still like hit a chord with people that really resonated. And Yeah, it's just and that would have been unthinkable 40 years ago to have these types of people voting for a billionaire New York Republican.
Yeah, there just should be some stability should be just rewarded. That's what I think. You should be okay just for being,
Yeah, like don't lose money.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're just solid.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah. And as long as you're trying.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was like
if you're losing money, of course, like if shit's going south, then, then
that's a problem. Yeah.
That's a problem.
But that goes back to our fucking girl with the Nickelodeon thing.
Yeah.
She's like, just try shit.
Yeah.
Let's just and she had a motto that, there's the classic cliche, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Her thing is, even if it's working, still try to fix it. Like always be tinkering, always be improving, always be like trying to be creative and try new shit.
Yeah, she was legit.
She was
awesome.
I came out of that
being, work for her.
I wanted to how come this woman hasn't run for president?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, she was legit.
Yeah.
Interesting end to the podcast, boys. I feel like we started with the orange years and we got a little serious. So good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Shout out to
go watch the Orange Years. You will thoroughly enjoy it.
Shout out to Larissa Olenek, Bianca Stratford.
Yep.
Brought me back to some serious radio vibes a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yep.
Thanks, guys. And thank you, everybody, for listening. That's it for today. That's it for this week. We'll be back Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week. We might be back, all of us, again for Wednesday. Might do a little Thanksgiving special.
I like that.
We'll get everybody in, and we'll have a nice episode. All right.
Looking forward to that.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. See you guys for the draft on Monday.